Yo, what the fuck is going on? It's your boy, Randage. Welcome back to the Format Library channel. I am joined by a man who needs no real introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway. His name is Siwski, and he's recently won the YRS37 featuring hat format. Siwski, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hello. Yeah, my name is siwski. Um, so mostly I just play Goat Control, but recently I stopped playing even that because of my university and stuff like that. But my friends got me into this hard format, and I think it still belongs to the era of Yu-Gi-Oh, where I still enjoy it. It reminds me more of Goat Control format than the current format. So laser steel interactions and stuff like that. Um, so I decided to play here. But rest, before we go into the other questions, I would like to give some shout outs. First of all, to you, Randage, because you always do interviews with me.
Oh, you're too kind.
uh, and then to my online team, which is called Horseman. They helped me with the deck building and the theory of the format. And this deck is actually based on one of my teammates' idea. And then lastly, I want to give shout outs to my real life friends with whom we tested a lot in this recent 2 or 3 weeks. Um, yeah,
All right,
that's it.
cool. Sweet. So, Suski, about how long have you been playing Yu-Gi-Oh? Any format, all formats, competitively?
Um, so I first got into Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually, if we don't count when I was a kid and I watched anime. It was right before Necros came out, and I played Evil Swarm in that format. So this is like uh, after actual head format finished, there was 215 format, and then there was the Necros format. And I remember explicitly I played two regionals with Evil Swarm, and then on the third one I actually managed to top. So I was top 8 with Evil Swarm, and after that I played Ritual Beasts, and I had pretty nice successes in Slovenia. But you must understand that Slovenian regionals are very small comparing to some of your American regionals, let's say. Um, then after that, I stopped and I didn't play Yu-Gi-Oh competitively anymore um, until 2019, where I spent basically the entire summer to test because I wanted to go to three YCSs in that format. This was the Orkust Salaman Great format, but I played Pendulums. And so I think I tested for 3 or 4 months, but it turns out that 4 months wasn't enough to completely master the format. Um, but still, I went 9-2 on YCS Ghent, but unfortunately, that wasn't enough. I didn't top. And then on the next YCS London, I went to day two, but I lost the first round there. So then we just went to Comic Con with friends. And then after that, again, I was not playing current anymore. So just goats and stuff like that.
Yeah, it sounds like you and I actually have started playing competitive Yu-Gi-Oh about the same time. I joined on the lower end of hat format when it was coming out, and I played a shit ton of Necros, and my deck for Necros was Ritual
Mm-hmm.
Beast. So that's pretty cool. I mean, you've got a lot of
Yeah, so
tops, like you
you
said. So I mean, you're definitely a really good player. I mean, I would consider you personally like probably one of the best Slovenian players that play this game. Um,
um, I would say two of my teammates, which we played Colosseum, are definitely better players. I think Urh is like a genius in this game. Unfortunately, he doesn't play right now, but definitely a genius if you ask me. Um,
well, hopefully you can convince him to get back into Yu-Gi-Oh because we'd love to have him in the community. Um, so you said, like I was just
I
talking about.
tried to get him to play the Clash of Champions.
Right.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, because he was qualified to Clash of Champions, right? Because he has multiple YCS tops and even a YCS win, and the other friend as well. But both of them were unfortunately too busy to actually play in the Clash of Champions. So, but I was really, really disappointed for that because I wanted to see them go to Gold format again, to see how they would develop and stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, unfortunately, they are right now too busy. But let's hope for the future, right?
Yeah, I mean that's a shame, of course, but hey, there's always a future, and hopefully they can join in on the future ones. I'm sure there will be a lot. Um, so let's talk about hat format. Obviously, I mean that's the event you won here. How diverse are you with this format? Do you know your way around it? Do you know most of the decks? And what made you choose just to play hat itself? This deck particularly.
So before I even knew about head format, like in its entirety, I mean, I just knew about the deck, so hands, artifacts, and trap tricks. This deck, and I thought this is a pretty cool deck. So when one of my real life friends suggested that we should try this format, I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then okay, let me just buy some cards from card market, right? So I just bought this head core, Mermeleos and artifacts. And well, that's how I started. So I just had this hot deck. We just played most of the time in real life, not online. But then FormatLibrary started playing hat as well. And then my teammates, like I said, from the Horsemen, they're actually just three and me, so that's four. Um, they got interested into hat, so I was just like joining them and discussing. And in the same time, this FormatLibrary tournament was coming up, so we planned to play on it. And actually, for most of the time, my teammate was preparing a pure artifact deck for me to play. He did most of theory crafting and stuff like that. And I tested it for, let's say, 2 weeks online with my friends and in real life. But then, like in the last moment, I switched this pure artifact deck to this, like you see, the cat deck, card, car, artifact, trap tricks, and I tested 2 matches with it, or like three matches, and then I went on the tourney with it. But besides that, I'm still a beginner in the format. I'm not an expert or anything. I know a few common matchups, but I do not know the details, and I do not know all the intricate plays. I don't know all the tricks and stuff like that. But let's just say I know most of the rulings and the very basic concepts, let's say.
Yeah, I mean this is definitely a pretty powerful list. I mean, it won the event. It's definitely, I'd say, probably one of the most popular decks. So let's talk about it. I mean, what what cards really stuck out to you this event? Either in the side, the extra, the main. What cards really stuck out to you and won you most of your games? And what cards could you maybe have maybe not brought with you for this event that you would change for a future one?
Well, I think we should start with artifacts, right? Because they were the basis of the deck, and originally we even played the orange one. I think most people don't even know what he does. He is the artifact that lets you draw a card for every time the artifact is summoned next to him. But in testing, I found out that he forces me to overextend. For example, if I've had Sanctum and Call of the Haunted, then if I want to get the draws, I need to waste both of them just to get them out, and then then of course I get the big draw. But I felt it's too inconsistent, so I wanted to cut that, and the hole was then left in the deck, and I wanted to fill it with something, and I just used trap trickses. So for me, I think the trap trickses performed really well in this event, and of course, card car, uh, like he is the best draw. I think he is just a budget pot of grit, like you would say, um, and Yeah, uh, that's basically my main change from the from the pure list that my friend made is the inclusion of trap trickses. And maybe one thing that is very curious is that I don't main hands like you already noticed. Um, so hands they are very good versus some decks, but they don't do anything versus some decks. So it's like I would say a meta call whether you want to main them or not. And I decided to not main them. And yeah, no, it turned out fine in this particular event. Um, but for example, for my real life meta game where everyone is playing Evil Swarm, then I would just main them. So maybe you have any other specific questions about the deck that I can answer.
Um, I mean, I definitely see what you're going for here with all this draw power, like you said, with adding the card cars. I assume that was very very good for you this event. Um, the only card that really like speaks to me that I kind of just am looking at is the triple wiretaps that you have on the side. You want to talk about that a little?
Well, I mean, you can't argue that wiretaps are bad versus trap decks, right? So that's why I have them. They are for trap decks inside. Um, I guess that's really all there is to it.
I mean, hey, that's usually all it needs anyway, right? So,
Yeah, I think I won some games because I had the wiretap on his trap and he didn't have the wiretap for my wiretap. So that's how some games are resolved. It's a really powerful thing. I mean, I wouldn't cut it in the future.
all right, duly noted. Let's talk about some of your games that you had.
Um,
Do you remember some of your matchups you had in this event? I mean, I'm sure you remember like the finals and stuff. I mean, was there any like spot moments that you remember that were kind of
uh,
clutch for you or
yeah, actually, my Geargia match, I think I will remember it. Maybe some head experts would say yes, you misplayed and your opponent misplayed as well, but for me it was a really amazing match. I think I will remember it for many years. It was a really fun match for me. It was grindy. Both games were really grindy. My cars really came to power in that game, and I think because the game was so long and so many things were possible, um, both decks really showed what they have, and the details of the matchup are also really present in that particular match. That's why I think it was so great. But also, of course, I'm biased because I won both games. That's why I enjoyed it even more. But I think even for my opponent, that match was pretty enjoyable. Um, and a similar match was versus Mythical Dragons in round one as well. I think it was pretty enjoyable match. It had ups and downs. Both players had their chances, soul charge plays, comebacks, stuff like that. So very dynamic matches, and very enjoyable. They weren't one-sided, and I think this is what I like about this format.
yeah, so you expect yourself to be joining the next hat event that Format Library holds then, try to defend your crown?
I mean, I probably will try, especially if it's during the summer where I usually have the most time in the year. So I hope so.
All right, we'll hope to see you there. Suski, thanks for sitting down with me and talking about your deck, and congratulations again on winning this event. I'm sure you're really proud of yourself, and especially because you're just really starting to get into
Thank
this
you, thank
format.
you.
Yeah. Is there any last words you want to say to the people before I let everyone go here?
Um, okay, maybe this is interesting. An interesting thing to talk about. So if you join FormatLibrary, you will notice that people there are really scared of Infernitys, and they say they are tier zero, and because I'm just a new guy, I also believe that, and I thought so too. But I think with proper side deck and proper side decking, so which cards to take in and take out, you can really counter them. So, for example, 3 maxes and 3 flying Cs is already pretty strong. And then if you combine that with spell trap removal, like artifact deck already mains MSTs or ignitions, and then sides into additional package of 3, usually MSTs or double cyclones, and then you can even bring in hands, and then you have like 15 cards that stop them. Not one of them, not one alone can stop them, but if you draw a combination of them, you can stop them, I think. And then they aren't so scary anymore. So I would suggest to all the players to respect the Infernitys, but to, yeah, I guess just try flyings. I guess they were my favorite card, although I didn't get to use them, but in testing they were. Um, and yeah, I guess those are my final words of warning. I guess. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, you heard it here, guys. Don't worry about Infernity. Just stack your side deck for it. All right, Siski, thanks for joining me here, and thanks everybody for listening. Um, we host these things all the time. You can join our Discord. It's in the description. You can talk with Suski, myself, other people, and get engaged in the community. Thanks again. See ya.
Thank you.